Hello, my name is Fabian Dolan and this is how I got good at guitar. I just want to start off by showing you my guitar playing journey. So if you are currently a beginner or intermediate player, I just want to give you a tiny bit of hope. So, if we listen to this here, this is me playing back when I was a beginner slash intermediate player. I was not very good, right? And then I managed to teach myself and advance my playing to get to a point where I sounded something like this. Right, so I want to give you guys some hope that there is a path to actually being good at the instrument. If you're currently confused and frustrated with the guitar at the moment, don't worry. You will be able to get better in the future. Again, if you want to speed that process up, I do offer lessons. Check the link in the description. So, what is my job? I help guitarists advance their guitar playing. This channel is completely run and sponsored by the viewers. So again, if you're watching, thank you very much for keeping this going. I appreciate you. Here are some kind words from viewers and some of my students as well. So yeah, hopefully this is going to be another video that will be quite helpful for you. But first and foremost, this is an educational video, right? It's not entertainment. So if you're looking to be entertained, please find a different video. So today, what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about how to practice. Because everyone says, oh, you need to practice, right? But like, no one actually knows what to do. We all kind of do different things. We all have a different idea of what practice is. And we all have different goals. So I'm going to break down what are the different types of practice that we can be doing, what we should be practicing, and how do we actually practice and improve, right? Because again, as a beginner slash intermediate player, you've probably never been given a practice routine, or you've never been told what to practice. You kind of have a rough idea, but there's too much that kind of worries and concerns you, and it's kind of just a bit too confusing and overwhelming to actually kind of get into some stuff sometimes. So I'm going to break down how we simplify that and how you find out for yourself what you should be working on. Because again, everyone has their own different influences and their own different goals to reach on the instrument. So everyone's practice routine is going to look a little different. So I think we can break down practice into two types of practice, right? The first one I want to talk about here is something that I've called tactile practice. This is all physical. If we need to work on making our technique cleaner and faster, this is what we should be working on. So if you're someone that wants to play like metal kind of shredding type of stuff, and you want to work on your picking speed, again, this is what you're going to have to work on, tactile practice, right? This requires that you put effort to work on trial and error, because everyone has a different guitar and everyone has a completely different anatomy, right? Everyone has a different shaped guitar neck and a different size of their hands, so that's going to influence how their body actually plays the instrument. You can't. It's very difficult to actually get a teacher to tell you, oh, do this, or look at a YouTube video, or you should be moving your hands this way. They can only sort of help guide you in a certain direction, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to put a lot of trial and error into figuring out what works for you and what doesn't, because again, everyone has a different guitar and a completely different anatomy. It's going to influence how you play the instrument. So, if we want to work on speed and technique and kind of like running through scales, I recommend using a metronome and starting painfully slow, right? This means slower than you think you might have to. Of course, everyone has an ego, and we say when we start practicing, we go, oh, I can do this already pretty decently fast, I'll just start fast. And this is how you make sure that you will never be as good as you could be. So what you want to do, you want to start stupidly slow. Treat yourself like a complete total idiot that has never played the guitar before, and start at a very slow tempo until you can play the technique you're trying to do at that tempo, clean, as slow as possible. Once you can play that perfectly at that slow tempo, then start slowly improving it, right? But do not start off at a kind of challenging tempo or something that's kind of pushing you, because eventually you're going to slip up and fail, and you're not going to notice the tiny details on the stuff that you're getting wrong. Playing slow is quite painful to people because it's very exposing to how bad you actually are, and how little you realize the mistakes you're actually making. So, for example, if you have a lick that you're trying to learn and the fastest you can play it is around 100 beats per minute, you want to start around 55 and then gradually increase it. So start at 55. Once you can get that perfect, increase it about 5 to 60 BPM. Once you can get that good, then 65, then to 70, and so on and so on. Now the next trick is to work your way up to around about 15% more than you are currently capable of. This is going to challenge you too hard and you're going to fail, right? And this is okay. This is expected. The goal here is to fail completely, but it's to push yourself, it's to challenge yourself. And you'll figure out that when you do push yourself around 15 to 20% more than you're capable of, it's difficult. You won't be able to play it perfectly, but you'll be able to play it better than you expect if you follow this framework before, by starting slow and gradually building yourself up, right? So you'll be able to play the lick around like decently good, like decently clean at 115. And then when you work your way back down to 100, you're going to have it perfect. You're going to have it really clean, and it'll be even cleaner than when you first started practicing. So this is the framework that I would use when I'm working on speed and timing. Is to start slow, painfully slow. All right. Again, everyone's got an ego. Everyone says that they're probably faster than they think they are, but no, you've got to start slow and realize that there are tiny little details that you're missing out on. And then once you correct those, you can slowly increase it. Then go about 15 to 20% above what you're currently capable of, or above what the actual song that you're trying to practice is. And then you can work your way back down to the original speed or tempo, right? Next type of practice, we have theory practice. This is where we learn new positions, patterns, and shapes to apply to the instrument in order to influence the possibilities we have on our instrument. So this is like learning new scales to play over new chords, which influence how we improvise and solo. Or for example, it could be learning new chord shapes and chord voicings, which influence how we play rhythm, right? This type of practice is a lot more analytical, as we kind of have to put loads of pieces of information together in our brain and connect different ideas together. So it's very, that's a bit of a mistake there, right? It's analytical and cerebral, right? Let me do that right there. And it can be very mentally frustrating, right? If you're trying to learn a new technique with theory and you don't quite understand it yet, it's very frustrating and you feel like putting the guitar down. It's not very fun, right? So what you want to be doing is just taking your time with this. You don't want to be doing much of this, right? Again, I wouldn't really do more than like 10 minutes of this if I didn't feel like it, right? But this stuff is learning new scales, chord shapes. We want to be doing this so we can see how other musicians use it, and then when we're learning their songs, we go, oh, this is just the major scale. I know this shape, and then you can kind of improvise your own melody. Or like you'll be learning again someone's song, and you'll be like, oh, I know what this chord is. This is like a minor 11 chord. I've already done this shape. I know how to play it here, right? And you'll be able to not only hear it when you listen to other people's songs, but it'll make learning their songs easier as well, right? Because you've already identified these shapes and patterns before, and then you're acting on memory rather than learning something completely new which you don't understand yet. So yeah, this is going to be useful for when you are going to be learning other people's songs in the future, right? Okay, why is practice so difficult early on when you're a complete beginner and in the intermediate stage, right? When you're first learning the guitar, you're having to do both of these at the same time, which is extremely confusing and mentally taxing. So you're doing both the tactile practice and the theoretical practice at the same time, and it's impossible to understand and put those two together at once. It's very difficult. It's very confusing to kind of figure out the instrument that way. And that kind of is very overwhelming, and you kind of feel frustrated, and you don't really know what you're doing on the instrument and you're kind of learning from people that have already figured things out, right? I don't know about you. I started learning like John Frusciante songs. I learned how to do these like chord shapes and stuff like that, but I had no clue how he applied it all across the neck. I was just learning specific spots in which he did certain things in. And again, this is quite confusing for beginners, right? I think of this analogy. I don't know if anyone here has played like GTA 5, but when you first start the single player, the map is completely blank, and then once you kind of walk through and discover certain areas, it lights up a bit, and you can kind of see pathways. It's the exact same with the guitar, and by learning other people's songs, you learn those pathways, but you haven't fully discovered the map yet, right? Once you've kind of fully discovered the map and know where every kind of route is, that's when it becomes a lot less confusing. But again, in the beginning, you're kind of just learning the map. You're learning how to get around from place to place and what other people do on that map. And yeah, it can be quite taxing, frustrating, and off-putting knowing that you haven't discovered the whole thing yet. But trust me, just put enough time in, you'll get there eventually, right? Practice on the instrument comes in waves of breakthroughs and frustrations. So you'll have breakthroughs where you figure out new avenues of the map and how to connect certain areas together, right? And then you'll have frustrations where you'll be annoyed that, oh, I can't play like one of my inspirations, and that frustrates me, or I can't play like one of my friends can, and that frustrates me. And or like, oh, I have these ideas that I want to be able to play on my instrument, but I don't know how to make anything sound good. Again, there are a lot of frustrations. You're going to experience moments where learning will feel very tough, and then if you are persistent enough, all of a sudden, all at once, something will click, and it will greatly impact how you play the instrument. Then you kind of sit on this for a while, and you stagnate, having integrated all this new information. And then you go back to the beginning, and you become frustrated again, thus repeating the cycle where you feel like you have to learn something new because you are frustrated. Then you learn something new, you have a breakthrough, it changes how you play, then you stagnate a bit, and then you're frustrated again, right? It's this never-ending cycle. And this is the process of learning any skill. Many of you would also probably be good at other things in other areas, with other hobbies in life. You can probably relate to this experience in other hobbies, right? It's a feature and not a bug. Don't be so hard on yourself if you're currently frustrated with your playing. Just keep working, keep practicing, just keep going at it. Eventually, you're going to get better, right? So, we've gone over the different types of practice. So I've gone over like tactile practice, what we can kind of do with that, and then the theoretical, analytical type of practice. Now that we know and we can make a distinction between those two, what should we be practicing? So, practice what inspires you. Keep following your curiosity, right? You probably picked up the guitar because you thought the instrument sounded cool. No one picks up the guitar to try and make money, right? Again, yeah, it's probably the most difficult thing to do on the guitar is not to play like sweet picking licks. It's to try and make money, right? Yeah, you probably haven't picked up the guitar for some like external validation reasons. You've probably picked it up because you find it interesting and you like playing. So follow what inspires you. Follow what makes you curious, right? As long as you can consistently pick up your instrument and follow your own curiosity and try something new, you will always keep improving. Every 6 months, you'll be able to look back and realize, well, I've actually improved a lot more than I've realized, and you'll be sounding like a new player every 6 months. As long as you keep consistently picking up the instrument, following your curiosity, and again, just trying something new. These two come hand in hand, right? Following your curiosity and trying something new. Also, don't forget to practice playing in time. So this means like to a metronome or with a band. This can kind of be applied to almost every practice routine. So if you're learning how to play chords, play it to a metronome. If you're learning how to play a scale, again, play it to a metronome. Or create your own loop on a loop pedal, right? Create your own chord progression, play the scale over that, and play it in time, right? Again, time feel is very important. So, what should I learn? this is my recommendation for people on what they should be learning in order to improve their musicianship and become an advanced guitar player. Learn how your favorite guitarists play their instrument and then copy that. It's as simple as that. Again, I say that sounds simple and that's probably quite obnoxious and arrogant, but I think this is the best way for people to improve at their instrument, is to learn how other people got good, right? So get a piece of paper or use the notes app on your phone and write down 5 different guitarists which inspire you. At least 3 to 5, right? If you're playing guitar, you should be able to name 5 different guitarists that you like, right? It could be how they play the instrument, like the songs they make and stuff like that. So, first off, learn their songs. Research what techniques and habits they use. So, like stylistically, they might use like a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs, or they might play everything on the pentatonic scale, or they might they're really like bending or something like that. Every unique guitarist is going to have their own kind of mannerisms on their instrument. Everyone that's got really good kind of develops their own style. What your job is when you're learning and you're a beginner / intermediate is to copy and imitate these people. Once you do this on about 5 different guitarists and then learn how to integrate and combine all these different skill sets together, you'll have your own completely unique style, right? So for example, if you like Jimi Hendrix and then you also really like, I don't know, Gary Moore, and you also like Frank Zappa or something like that, you combine all those different styles together, you're going to have a really interesting skill set that is completely unique, and it's going to be separate from Jimi Hendrix, it's going to be separate from Gary Moore, it's going to be separate from Frank Zappa, but it's also going to contain a bit of all of their techniques and kind of musical DNA within all of that, right? So this is how you create your own unique style. It's to copy and imitate from different people and then add them together, right? So yeah, just to recap, follow what inspires you, follow your curiosity, and what inspires you should be how other people play their instrument. So learn their songs, research what techniques and habits they use. Again, there'll be like countless videos on YouTube like, how to play like John Mayer, right? Type in something like that, you'll get like 100 videos telling you what to do. And then learn what scales and chord voicings they usually play, right? Again, if you're kind of too inexperienced to be able to figure this out, again, I offer lessons, link in the description. I'll be able to help you figure this out from your favorite guitarists. So we've gone over what are the different types of practice, what we should be practicing, and now I'm going to go over the best ways to actually improve your playing by practicing. So most importantly, make it fun. Again, like I said earlier, you probably didn't pick up the guitar to try and make loads of money. You probably picked it up because you like the sound of the instrument and you want to have fun with it, right? Music is not a competitive sport. You don't have to eat a strict diet and you don't have to wake up at like 5 a.m. every morning just to be good at your instrument. All it takes is just 5 minutes every day on the guitar. Eventually, you're going to get better. Oftentimes, you'll start just thinking, okay, I'll just pick up the guitar for 5 minutes. And then not until like 2 or 3 hours later that you put the actual instrument down. You kind of get lost in practice. And then you're going to be like miles better than when you first started by doing these kind of sessions here, right? So just hold the guitar, mindlessly run your fingers across the fretboard and see what happens. Let your hands move without your brain telling them what to play. So like, don't pick up the guitar and go, oh, I'm going to play Enter Sandman, right? No, don't do that, right? Just pick up the instrument and just see what your fingers can do. Just try and create your own music based upon what you already know from the guitar and what other people have done with the guitar and how you've learnt their songs, right? So like, try and make your own version of the Enter Sandman riff rather than playing the same riff over and over again. See how you can try and change something and make it sound a bit different. Again, use your own curiosity, follow what inspires you, and use your own ear to tell you what you think sounds good rather than learning what other people have done that sounds good. So, if you try this, nothing happens, you feel like you can't play anything, or you're kind of quite unsatisfied or unimpressed with what your hands mindlessly play, Spend some time learning the scales, chords, and the theory that your favorite musicians use, right? Spend time learning some of their songs as well. And then integrate this into your playing, just practice a bit of that. And then again, come back to the instrument again another day and see what happens when you mindlessly run your fingers across the fretboard. Eventually, your hands are going to figure out how to play something and kind of come up with your own music, right? So, just to recap, think about your favorite players, ask yourself what you enjoy from their playing, research what type of tactile techniques they use. So if they use a lot of sweep picking, for example, try practice that. Again, it's not really a beginner technique, but you get the point. Research what kind of chord shapes and chord voicings they play. For example, they might not play regular triads, they might play extended voicings like minor 11 chords or major 6 chords, right? Something like that. Research how to play those shapes. Research what kind of scales they're using. Maybe they're not using the pentatonic scale, maybe they're using like the melodic minor or something. Research how to play that across the entire guitar, right? Next, learn their songs and play along with the recordings to practice your time feel. Again, one of the most important aspects of music is rhythm, right? So you want to be able to play the songs and be rhythmically strong at the same time. The best way to do that, I think the most fun way to do it as well, is to practice to the other songs, right? Again, if you can't play the whole song yet, still that doesn't matter, right? Just kind of guess your way there. Just learn certain parts, see what you can do with that, and then just kind of like strum dead notes for the bits that you don't know. But just practice keeping yourself in time with the bass and drums. That's a very important aspect of being able to play music, is keeping yourself in time and then kind of dropping back into the sections of the songs that you do know, right? So you might only know the intro and then like a bit of the verse, right? So you play the intro, the verse, then you drop out for the chorus, but keep strumming dead notes along with the song in time, and then you'll be able to follow up with the band and then come back in again on the next verse, and so on and so on. You get the point, right? And finally, I think the most important part, just pick up the guitar as much as possible. See what happens. Don't really judge yourself that you can't really play too well yet. Just see what your fingers do, right? Do this every day for 6 months. If you feel like you haven't improved yet, then unfortunately you might be a bass player. The guitar might not be the right instrument for you. So yeah, you might want to sell your guitars. But still, I'm confident that if you do this every day for 6 months, just pick up the guitar for 5 minutes, you will get a lot better than you might realize, right? It's all about consistency. This is how you improve at the instrument. You've got to find ways to make the instrument fun to play and then do it as much as possible. And then over time, like, you're going to develop a natural feel for the instrument, and you're going to be doing stuff without even actually thinking about it. Your hands will be a lot more accustomed to like how to play across the fretboard and like how to play all these kind of different melody lines and how to get used to doing more advanced techniques like sweep picking and stuff like that. Just by just having the guitar in your hands and using it, you're naturally developing your kind of like finer muscles, and then you're integrating it to become muscle memory, so you'll be able to play without even really thinking about what you're doing, and there'll be so much less struggle and frustration going on when you pick up the instrument. So this has been how to practice. So we've gone over what are the different types of practice, what we should be practicing, and the best ways to practice and improve, right? Thank you very much for watching and making it to the end. This has been How I Got Good at Guitar. My name is Fabian Dolan. There is a link in the description for lessons, so if you're interested in improving your guitar playing, please check that out below. Again, these lessons are completely supported by you guys. These videos are supported by you. This channel is run by lessons and tips in the description. So thank you very much for watching and supporting. Again, I really appreciate all the new subscribers that I've got. If you're a new viewer, subscribe for more high quality guides. And again, you can follow me on Instagram if you want. But regardless, thank you very much for watching, and take care.